Hi. Okay, let's talk about the three most important tools in your mental health toolbox. So, the three most important concepts to learn, and hopefully you learn them early on in your treatment with your therapist, are what are negative core beliefs and what are your specific negative core beliefs, what are automatic negative thoughts, and what are your primary automatic negative thoughts that you use in your reality, and how do you do what's called reality testing. So the all is mind. And in cognitive behavioral therapy, you learn the little triangle where thoughts are at the top, right? That's the mind, thoughts. And they lead to emotions and behaviors. A lot of times the emotions are what fuel the behaviors. So you'll see in your cognitive behavioral triangle, the thoughts are at the top, the all is mind, and it leads to emotions that then lead to behaviors. This is a very, very basic concept in therapy, but it's a very, very, very important because it really does drive the whole system. And we need to keep going back when we're doing our reality testing. What is my negative core belief that's at play here? What are the automatic negative thoughts that I'm using? And what is the reality, the totality of what's really going on? And so when you're working with your therapist, if they haven't already gone over this with you, go back to them and say, okay, so what are my negative core beliefs? Like, knowing you the way that you know me now, let's investigate. I really want to get to know what my negative core beliefs are that are at play. Do you have a negative core belief that I am unlovable? Do you maybe have a negative core belief that I ruin everything? Do you have a negative core belief that nothing ever works out for me? Something along those lines. And sometimes we can have more than one. We can have many. And we may need our therapist to really reflect back to us after they've gotten our history and they've gotten to know us to say, okay, I'm really seeing that this might be the deepest program, that deepest negative core belief that's at play, because I see it repeating itself in your life. And then your therapist can go over with you what the 9 types of ants are, because there's 9 types of automatic negative thoughts. We call them ants for short. Because we tend to use, a couple of them, they tend to be our go-to. Sometimes we use fortune telling. Like, we'll get in our head and we'll be like, oh yeah, this person was thinking this about me, and I know that that's what they're thinking because they looked at me funny, or they were whispering over in the corner over there, or they didn't text me, or I saw something on social media and I know it was about me even though it didn't say. Like, this is all a type of fortune telling and storytelling. So we're fabricating a story in our mind. We're fantasizing without really exploring the totality of what could be going on. Another one is all or nothing thinking. You either are totally on my side or you're not. And it's very hard, maybe we need to have a conversation, and it's okay to disagree with the other person, but whatever the other person is saying, it's activating a negative core belief. I am not good enough because you're disagreeing with me. I'm interpreting that as now I am not good enough for you. And so these two things affect how we interact with our reality on such a deep and subtle level. Without the help of a therapist, we probably won't even know that it's active. So we need someone who's trained, who understands what these concepts are, and who is unbiased to help reflect back to us when these are active, until we can get to the point where we are noticing them on our own. And then we use what's called reality testing to constantly be testing our interactions. When we're feeling a heavy depression or we're feeling a heavy anxiety, we can go back and say, okay, what are the thoughts that are running through my head recently that could be contributing to me feeling so depressed? Because thoughts lead to emotions. Or what are the thoughts that could be leading me to feel so nervous and anxious right now? Because thoughts lead to emotions. So many times I ask my client when they're like, oh, I feel depressed, or I had an anxiety attack, what were the thoughts that you were having before you noticed the depression, or during the depression, or right before the panic attack, or even a few hours before the panic attack? And I get all, oh, I wasn't thinking about anything. No, there's no relationship. No. There's always something. Thoughts are constantly running through our head. There's always something going on in your thought world that will lead to the emotions, which then lead to the behaviors. So really, if you haven't gone over this with your therapist yet, if you're not exploring this on the regular, if it's not a tool that you're comfortable with, and that you're constantly bringing it back as your foundational assessment piece, then really encourage your therapist to work with you until you get it down as habit. So I hope that helps, and enjoy your journey, and I hope you have a beautiful day.